makers, welcome back. Today we're doing a beautiful sailboat painting. My paint colors today are going to be green, yellow, orange, red, white, and black. I have some mixing plates to mix up all of my colors since we're not going to mix up on our paint palette. I have a can of water, some paper towels, and I have 3 different types of brushes today. The first brush that I have is a flat brush. It's sort of round at the edge. Second brush is also a flat brush, but it is more squared off at the edge. And my third brush is going to be a small, thin, pointy brush for all my fine details. Now, our first thing to do in our painting is our background. So we have a couple colors to mix up, but we're going to start with one to begin. Now, we're going to be grabbing our flat brush that's more round at the edge, grabbing a paper plate to mix up our color. It's going to be a sort of dark green, an emerald green, a little bit of white, a lot of green, a little bit of yellow to make it more on the grassier green side, and then a touch of black to darken it up. Once you have the color that you're happy with, we're going to draw our horizon line. About 1/3 up our canvas, we're going to be drawing a line across, just like so. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, but try and get it as straight as you can. And then we're going to be taking this green paint and starting in this top left-hand corner, we're going to be doing these little tick marks with our brushes. We're just pressing it into the canvas, leaving little dab marks. We want this texture all over. It's going to be in sections. We don't want to put the green everywhere in our canvas. So you can see I have like one dot on the left. I have this huge amount of it here in the middle and the top, and so forth. So fill up your sky accordingly to how much you want your sky to be green and how much you want it to be all the reds and oranges and yellows. Leave our sky alone for a little bit, and we're going to get a clean brush. We are going to be working with our flat square brush, and we're going to be mixing up a medium gray color for our water. Now, this color is going to be a scoop of white and a scoop of black. And we're going to mix those together until you get a gray that you like, and we're going to fill up our entire water with this color. Once we fill it in, not going to clean my brush, just going to grab a little bit of white paint and throw some horizontal brush strokes throughout my water. Let it blend in with that gray. This will give some nice highlights and movement to our water. We're going to do the same thing now, but with a little bit of black to add some shadows to our water. At this point, your green should be mostly dry. It doesn't need to be fully dry, but we're going to be getting into the colors that are in the sky. These are like shining lights that are behind our sailboat. So we're going to be taking our flat brush that's round at the edge, grabbing a scoop of white, and then getting a little bit of yellow. This is going to be our pale yellow color. We're going to be mixing up another color with a scoop of white, scoop of yellow, about a half a scoop of orange, and a little bit of black. We're trying to make a sort of goldeny yellow color. Something that's a little bit darker, a little bit more muted, and a little bit warmer. Gonna get a clean brush, and our next color that we're gonna be mixing up is an orange. So I'm going to be grabbing a little bit of white, a big scoop of orange, mixing those together. Still pretty bright. And our last color, we are going to grab a little bit of white, a scoop of red, mix those together, and maybe even add a little bit of yellow to it to get rid of that pinkiness. Now, using the same texture we used for the green, we're going to be dabbing in, starting with the red, random spots throughout the white sections of our sky. Feel free to even overlap it on top of some of the green areas. Just make sure that if it is still a little bit wet, you always reapply some more paint on your brush so that you don't have too many mixtures together. Now I'm going to get a clean brush and do the same thing with my orange. Again, going to clean my brush off, and this time we're going to be getting into that mustard yellow color. And lastly, I'm going to clean off my brush and throw just a couple of small little specks of the light yellow, our last little color here, to make these lights really shine bright. Add a little reflection of the lights in our water. So with that same brush, we're going to start with our orange, and we're going to be throwing a couple little orange lines throughout our water to reflect the lights in our sky. Then going to get a clean brush, and we're going to be doing the same thing with our mustard yellow or golden yellow color. Next up for these reflections is our red that we mixed up together. And lastly, I'm going to grab my small pointy brush in my light yellow to add a couple of highlights into the reflections as well. Now before we do anything else, we're going to let our painting dry for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once you're back and everything's nice and dry, it is time to think about our sailboat. We're going to start by drawing out the basic shape. Using my small, thin, pointy brush, we're going to be going into some black paint and doing the base of the boat first. Now, we want to have our boat be not directly in the middle, a little bit over to the right. It's going to start maybe somewhere in the middle of our canvas, but end more so towards the right, maybe right where that reflection is. Then on the ends of those lines, we're going to draw diagonal lines going up and outwards, almost like a cup or a bowl would. And then we're going to connect those lines with sort of a smiley face shape. It doesn't go directly straight across, there's a slight dip. Now above that base of your boat, we're going to have the section in which the driver of the boat normally sits in. So it's going to be a rectangular shape that doesn't have lines going straight down to connect to the boat, except for the one on the back. The one in the front is going to be a little more diagonal. Then we're going to draw the mast where the sails are going to be on. So basically right in the middle or just to the left of center on that shape we just made, we're going to draw a line going almost to the top of our canvas. Then we're going to be drawing our sails. So I'm going to start with the one on the left. We're going to be drawing a line that sort of goes diagonally downwards and just past the tip of the front of the boat. Connect it to the mast, and then we're going to connect the end of that line to the tippy top of the mast to create sort of a triangle shape. Now for the back sail, we are going to be drawing a line from the mast a little bit lower down than the front sail, and we're going to draw a line all the way across to just past the back point of the boat. Once we have that line in, then we're going to connect that end with the top of the mast as well to create another triangle. Now with that black paint, we're going to fill in the base of our boat. I'm also going to be painting in just the front half of the second section of the boat with black. And then lastly with the black, we're going to add a few lines within the water, right where our boat is, to give more of like a shadow, as well as some more ripples in the water. Now, while that black paint is still wet in the second section of our boat, we're going to be mixing together a medium to light gray with some white and black paint. And we're going to be throwing that gray in the back half of the second section of our boat and blend it over to the left into the black paint we already put there. If they're having a hard time blending, you can go back into some black paint to help them blend, so you have it more dark on the left and lighter on the right. Next, with a clean brush, I'm going to be getting into some white paint and filling in these sails. Now we want the edges, those black edges, to stay visible. So it's basically like a coloring book, you're just filling within the lines. Once we're done filling in our sails, we're going to add some highlights to our boat base and the second section of our boat. Little tiny lines along the outside edge, along the top of the first part of the boat, and then along some points on that second section of our boat as well. And we're also going to add some white highlights in our water, just right around the boat where we put those black lines, to get these little waves and just more movement in the water. Lastly, I'm going to take some black paint and add a horizon line, just to disconnect the water and the sky and make a more definite separation between the two. If you want to use that black paint to go back and fix up anything like the mast or the edges of your sailboat, now is also a great time to do that. But this is the last and final step to creating this stunning sailboat masterpiece. We would love to see what you're painting at home. Feel free to post on social media, tag us at muse_paintbar so we can check them out. And don't forget to sign your painting when you are done. Take ownership, take the credit. Everyone's going to be so impressed with what you've created. Now, if you want to see more from our channel, see other tutorials that we are doing, make sure you like and subscribe. And with that, don't forget to always paint outside the lines.